from squids to jellies and a few sharks and eels in between. I am your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and here are the top 10 terrifying creatures that were found inside the Bermuda Triangle. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the giant squid. So to start off this list today, we have a truly bizarre discovery of a gigantic creature that came from within inside the Bermuda Triangle. In 2005, two marine biologists snapped footage of a giant squid in the waters of the triangle, and it was said to have been aggressively attacking baited lines. This would be terrifying to witness, as giant squids are massive and strong, some even growing over 150 feet long. This one that the researchers seem to have witnessed, they claim was closer to around 30 feet. This species, although very rare, is absolutely fascinating and is said to grab its prey, or in this case bait, with extreme force and violence. Some researchers believe that this startling discovery might mean that there could be more of these creatures lurking deep in the waters of the triangle, but others argue that this gigantic squid was just perhaps passing through. Either way, what those marine biologists saw that day was undoubtedly a rare sighting. In our number 9 spot today, we have comb jellies. Comb jellies are gelatinous creatures that are named for their unique plates of fused cilia, which are called combs. These combs help the jelly move through the water like boat oars, and while other microscopic organisms also have this sort of mechanism, comb jellies are the largest animal with this feature. These combs are also part of the reason that comb jellies are so gorgeous to look at. Rather than bioluminescence, the rainbow light effect that can sometimes be seen on them is from light diffracting off of the combs in all different directions. Many comb jellies have one pair of tentacles, although they appear to have multiple, but that is just caused by their tentacles branching out. These tentacles are used to help them to hunt, like a sort of fishing line. Aside from this, these jellies don't sting, which is always a good thing, but even if they did, these guys like to make their home quite deep in the ocean, so it wouldn't be too much of a problem. In our number 8 spot today, we have Boulder star coral. Boulder star coral is one of the most important ingredients in reef building, so it's integral to the underwater ecosystem of the Bermuda Triangle, but unfortunately despite that, it is currently endangered. This coral is sprouted from closely packed nodules, and it develops into massive clumps with uneven surfaces, or sometimes even into plates. This kind of coral grows up to 40% larger than other coral species, and they usually are either an orange-brown, greenish-brown, or a grayish-brown color. Because of infectious disease, hurricane damage, as well as human interference, it is believed that the Boulder star coral population has decreased by an insane 50% since the 1990s. That is a massive drop in a very short period of time. Hopefully something can be done to help save the Boulder star coral before it is simply just too late. In our number 7 spot today, we have the guardians of the underworld. For this one, we have a jellyfish, which has been nicknamed the guardian of the underworld. This creature can reach 10 meters or 33 feet in length, and despite its enormous size, it isn't usually caught on camera. It is said that this stunning creature is so elusive, we've been lucky if we spot it once a year since its modern discovery, and part of this is because they live so deep in the sea. They have these long, billowy things coming off of them, and although they appear as though they would be stinging tentacles, they are actually more like arms that help with feeding. It is thought that they use these massive arms to envelop their unsuspecting prey, and that was all I needed to hear to swear off the ocean forever. The red coloring of these jellies helps them blend into the dark backdrop of the deep sea, making them the perfect predator, and not only that, but they are one of the largest invertebrate predators known in the ocean. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Nassau Grouper. This species of fish loves to live near reefs, and in fact it is one of the largest fish that can be found around coral reefs. These fish are quite solitary, and they feed only in the daytime, mostly on things like small crabs and lobsters. These guys have a super large mouth that they use to basically inhale their prey rather than the traditional hunting methods. These fish spawn in December or January, always around the time of a full moon, and always in the same locations. During the full moon, guided by the light it gives off, huge numbers of these fish all cluster together in order to mate, which produces a mass spawning. Depending on the depth that these fish live at, they have different coloring, but most can be found with a stripe that resembles a tuning fork on their heads behind their eyes, which makes them look like they could be fish belonging to King Triton. In our number 5 spot today, we have the scalloped hammerhead shark. These sharks, of course, belong to the hammerhead family, and the main feature is their oddly shaped heads. These guys are a coastal pelagic species, and their eyes and nostrils can be found at the ends of the tips of their head extensions. These sharks like to use the shore as a breeding ground, and their young have an incredibly high metabolic rate, which means that they need a ton ton of food or else they'll starve. These guys are quite notable for their large and complex brains. They have quite high levels of cognitive capabilities, they're socially intelligent, they have complex migratory patterns and habitat relationships, and they're quite athletic and clever when it comes to capturing prey. Great, nothing better than a super smart, extremely hungry shark. Their brains are great for the species in a multitude of ways, of course, but especially in terms of reproduction because their social intelligence helps them seek out the fittest members of the species to procreate with. Unfortunately, as of this year, however, the scalloped hammerhead shark is now listed as critically endangered, with the main cause for the population decline being overfishing. They are over-harvested because of their large size, as well as the fact that apparently their fins have a high fin needle content, so they are sold for $100 to $120 per kilogram. In our number 4 spot today, we have the European eel. These guys are of course a species of eel, and they usually grow to be around 60 to 80 centimeters or 2 to 2.5 feet, but they have been found measuring up to 1.5 meters or almost 5 feet, which is a bit of a terrifying thought. One super weird thing about these guys is that we actually don't know what their lifespan is like in the wild. Captive specimens have lived for over 80 years, with one known as the Brantivik eel living in the well of a family home for 150 years. This European eel is currently critically endangered, and it is said that since the 1970s, the number of eels reaching their migration destination has declined by 90%. The factors contributing to this are things like overfishing, parasites, and barriers to migration, like hydroelectric dams. To help save these eels, there have been a few breeding projects created, and one that was created attempted to help them breed by simulating a 6,500 kilometer or 4,000 mile migratory journey with a swimming machine. The news of any species being endangered is a tragedy, but it really is nice to hear of the things that are actively being done to help. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Bahamian Hutia. This large rodent is one of the land animals that finds its home on the land surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Its natural habitats are subtropical lowland areas, and it is kind of like a rat-like rodent with a short tail. They grow to be somewhere around 60 centimeters or 24 inches, and they vary in color between black, brown, gray, white, or a sort of reddish color. These animals are nocturnal and they remain underground during the day. They're able to climb trees, but they prefer to forage on the ground for things like leaves, shoots, fruit, nuts, and bark. These guys are actually endemic to the Bahamas, so you won't find them literally anywhere else on Earth. For a while it was believed that this species was actually extinct, but that changed in 1966 when a biologist found a small population in an uninhabited area of an island. The planet Cays are currently the last natural habitat for these guys, however, and they are the home of the last surviving population. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Portuguese Man O War. These guys are often mistaken for jellyfish, and while they are closely related, these guys are a family of their own. The super interesting thing about these creatures is that they are a siphonophore, which means that they're comprised of a colony of specialized, genetically identical individuals called zooids, all with various forms and functions. These guys are found in tropical and subtropical seas, so of course, the Bermuda Triangle is a great home for them, and they're propelled by either wind or ocean currents alone. These guys can be recognized by their balloon-like float, which can be pink, blue, or violet. Under the float, the Man O War has tentacles and polyps that are super long, growing to an average of 30 feet and being able to extend 100 feet. These tentacles are where things can get a little bit dicey, however, as they are full of little stingers which are designed to deliver venom that is capable of killing their prey. Luckily, the Man O War sting is rarely deadly to people, but rarely does not mean impossible. It will, however, be extremely painful and can cause large welts on exposed skin. In our number 1 spot today, we have tiger sharks. Tiger sharks are a species of shark that are the only surviving member of their genus. These macro predators can grow to be quite large, reaching lengths of over 5 meters or 16 feet 5 inches. They are usually found in tropical and temperate waters, and their tiger name comes from the dark stripes that can be distinctly seen running down its body, although these marks do fade as the sharks mature. Tiger sharks live mostly solitary lives and they are nocturnal hunters. They're also well known for having quite the variety of prey, which includes crustaceans, fish, seals, birds, squid, turtles, sea snakes, dolphins, and even other smaller sharks. Unfortunately, these sharks are nearing a point of being a threatened species due to finning and fishing by humans, but it is thought that the Bermuda Triangle might be the home to a secret sort of breeding ground for these guys. Hopefully, if this is the case, we can find a way to help protect the area so that the species can once again thrive. After the great white shark, tiger sharks are the second in line when it comes to the most recorded fatal attacks on humans, but although that sounds terrifying, these events are still extremely rare. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.